Hello everyone and welcome back to Trigger Happy Havoc. Last episode we continued the trial a little bit and we're kind of getting closer to figuring it out, but we basically figured out who the victim was, and it was Makoto Ikusaba. Monokuma told us that. He confirmed that after we had kind of figured out that, like, there's no one else it could be. And then we kind of clarified that the murder could not have happened, or at least the body could not have shown up in the, where it showed, in the garden. What is it called? The body could not have shown up where we found it in between, like, 10 p.m. and 7:30 because it did not. The sprinklers go off at 7:30, I think, like on the dot, and so the body would have been like completely wet if it had been there at that time. But the body was only half wet. But Kyoko just brought up something because we're all kind of leaning towards Kyoko being the murderer, which I'm not happy about that. But everybody else is like leaning towards, like, there's no one else it could have been. But that's not completely true because Kyoko brought up the fact that even though the body could not have shown up there during that time, doesn't mean that it was murdered there. Like, the body could have been murdered somewhere else. The victim could have been murdered someone else and then brought there. Or, which Kyoko brought this up, was that something could have been used to cover the body for when the sprinklers went off. So, someone could have killed Makoto during 10 and in between 10 p.m. and 7:30. So now it's the eyes are going to be back on Makoto because the only two people who could have done it apparently would have been Makoto and Kyoko. Like, I'm worried about if Makoto did it because what's going to happen if Makoto, me, is the one that did it? I don't know. Or what if Kyoko did it? Like, I don't want Kyoko to have done it because I don't want her to die. I don't think she did it, but I don't know. Let's continue the investigation. Let's continue the trial and figure it out. Alright. In fact, that's exactly what the killer did.
The dirt pattern on the tarp can attest to that. Only one side of the tarp got dirty, because that's the side that got covered in water. The side that faced down over the body, meanwhile, kept perfectly clean. This proves that the killer used the tarp to keep the body from getting soaked.
But why would they go to all that effort just to keep the body from getting wet?
Yeah, I don't know.
Most likely so they could cloud the issue of when the murder actually took place. In other words, to create an excuse exactly like the one Makoto just gave us.
But why would Kyoko say that? But he didn't say that because if he did kill Makoto, it was like, it must have been like during his dream, like while he was like sleepwalking, or he felt like he was in a dream or something when he actually was in real life. I don't know. Something like that. Because we would have remembered, like, well, I don't know. Why would she want me to, why would she want to make me look like the killer? Maybe because she did it? But, yeah. No, I can't think about that right now. That tarp. If it was used the way Kyoko said, the tarp must have touched the body, right? But the body...
Wait. Something's not right.
And what might that be?
I can't worry about Kyoko's motivations. If I don't do something, everyone's gonna think I'm the killer. I have to refute what Kyoko said. Body, I don't know.
By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water.
No, that's not right. Yes, I see. So what you're saying is, I have absolutely no idea.
Shoot!
Dang. Okay, maybe I should listen to the whole thing
By covering the body with the tarp,
first.
the killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler
That
got
might be
that
where I
side
need
wet.
to do it, but...
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty.
Dang it. Okay. I remember the blood on the body hadn't dried yet. Byakuya even warned us not to touch it to avoid getting any blood on us. Yeah.
By covering the body with the
Okay.
tarp,
The killer prevents.
So the reason that... Of course it didn't get dirty.
Why does that... It just, that thing keeps showing up there. And that's
The
annoying.
reason that since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty.
There we go.
No, that's wrong. Actually, one side being clean is pretty strange if you think about it. Because the blood wasn't dry before the body got blown up, right? Byakuya said it himself. Not to touch it, or you might get some on you. If you put a tarp on a body in that state, it absolutely would have gotten blood on it.
Well, maybe the culprit washed it, so nobody would know they'd used it.
If they had, they would have washed both sides. Just washing the one side wouldn't hide anything.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, true.
more than that, what if the very blood we saw on the body was meant as a kind of camouflage?
Huh? The blood was camouflage?
What if, after the killer used the tarp to avoid the sprinklers, they then covered the body in blood that didn't belong to the victim?
That doesn't make sense, Kyoko.
You mean someone else's blood? Where would they get something like that?
I know! They could have grabbed some of the blood packs from the nurse's office. That's what Hifumi did, right? When he pretended to be dead?
No, that's not what happened this time. The killer got the blood from right there in the garden.
Oh. They killed a... a chicken?
I got it! Could it have been chicken blood?
What? Chicken blood?
When I checked the chicken coop before the murder, there were 5 chickens. But after the murder, there were only 4.
So, you're saying someone killed a chicken and then covered the body with its blood? Man, that's messed up.
Killing a living
Yeah.
thing just to do something like that is awful. They should have at least eaten it.
I wonder if the killer had to get the blood from the scene so they wouldn't be spotted walking around. Anyway, there's no denying that a chicken went missing, which provides a basis for my theory.
Perhaps, but even so, there's one thing that still doesn't make sense. You said the culprit used the tarp to avoid the water and then covered the body in blood, right? But if that's the case, then the blood should have soaked into the ground around the body. But that's not what we saw. Only the victim's clothing had blood on it. The ground was completely clean.
I have to agree, that certainly is strange. Maybe they didn't apply the blood at the scene. Maybe they covered the coat in blood beforehand.
They covered it beforehand?
When you discovered the body, was it wearing the coat like you normally would?
I think so. Wait, no. The head was through
No.
the neck hole, but the arms weren't in the sleeves.
then that settles it.
Sorry, I'm having a tough time keeping up. What settles what?
Here's what happened. The murder took place before the sprinklers went off. But the body didn't get wet because the killer covered it with the tarp. Then, later, at the same time the killer was gathering up the tarp, they pulled the coat over the body, the coat they'd already covered in blood. This series of cover-ups was meant to disguise the actual time the murder occurred. They wanted us to think the murder happened sometime after the sprinklers had gone off, at 7:30.
If that's actually what took place, it certainly becomes possible that the murder happened earlier.
But to pull all that off, wouldn't they have had to go back to the garden after the sprinklers turned off?
That actually wouldn't have been all that difficult.
Huh?
They already had the coat ready, so they just had to grab the tarp and pull the coat over the body.
Hey, listen!
They'd be done in no time.
Maybe. But still.
Hina, after you met up with Makoto in the dining hall, did you two stay together from that point on?
Oh no. I headed off to the gym, and Makoto didn't show up till later.
Then he had plenty of time to spare, wouldn't you say?
That's not...
Don't bother saying it's not possible.
I must admit, Kyoko's reasoning is sound. Makoto's alibi is inadequate.
And the suspicion falls back on me again. But why? Why is Kyoko trying to entrap me? I don't understand. Disguised dead body has been added to the truth bullet section of your handbook.
Well then, it looks like we're back to square one. Makoto's alibi is no good, so once again, our suspects are him and Kyoko.
For serious, man? Which one of them did it? Hey, why don't we let luck decide? Let's flip a coin. 50-50 odds.
Oh!
See? Pretty good idea, right?
No, not that. I just remembered something super serious.
Well, don't just stand there. Out with it.
You know that knife we found all black and burnt?
One we found stuck in the body before it exploded, right? According to the Monokuma file, the knife went all the way through, from front to back. So, what about it?
I'm pretty sure I'd seen that knife somewhere before. That's what I thought when I first saw it. I just remembered.
Listen, more important, now that we have the knife, what are we gonna do with it? We can't let Toko keep it, that's for sure. We don't know what she might do. I don't want it anyway. So what to do? Why don't you hang on to it, Makoto? Huh? Me?
It's the knife we gave to Makoto?
You don't seem surprised. You must have noticed earlier.
Yeah.
Then why did you hide that fact?
It's not that I hid it. It's just...
I couldn't be sure of what actually happened last night. Thought maybe I really did kill her.
Suspicious. Very suspicious indeed. The knife we found stuck in the body came from Makoto. Now I'm totally convinced he did it. 12,000% convinced.
Considering everything up till now, I should be able to make it clear. I have to prove that I didn't murder anyone. I'm not the killer. How is he gonna do that, though? I have no idea. Fragments near the dead body.
The knife we found lodged in the dead body.
It's the same one we gave to Makoto.
It really is, isn't it? I was afraid of that.
If he did have that knife before, then that seals it. Makoto did it.
Just because I had the knife once, that automatically makes me the killer?
Well, getting stabbed is what killed her, right? So there's no question. You took that knife of yours and killed her with it.
What a horrible man you are, Makoto.
We've already established that the coat was put on the body after the tarp was removed. Which means that the knife, which means when the knife was thrust through the coat into the body.
The knife we found lodged in the dead body.
It's the same one we gave to Makoto.
It really is, isn't it? I was afraid of that.
If he did have that knife before, then that seals it. Makoto did it. Well, getting stabbed is what killed her.
Oh,
No,
there we
that's
go.
wrong. Wait, hold on. The stab wound isn't what killed Mukuro. That should be clear from the description of the cover-up we just heard.
Lies! We never talked about what killed her.
No, don't you remember? The killer covered the dead body with the tarp, and then put the bloody coat on it, right? In other words, the victim never wore that blood-stained coat until after they were dead.
Okay, fine. So what?
So, when we discovered the body, the knife had been thrust through the coat along with the body. Meaning, if she wasn't stabbed until the coat was put on, and she was already dead at that point, obviously the stab wound isn't what killed her.
Maybe you stabbed her twice. Once to kill her and once to cover it up.
There would have been other blood. The victim was stabbed twice at the same spot? No, there's no way that's possible. The exact condition of the body was written down for everyone to see. Let's look at this. Due to the explosion, the victim's identity is unknown. They were, however, dead before the blast. The victim had been stabbed a single time with a knife, which went completely through the body. They had also been struck in the head with an object about as thick as a metal pipe. The body was covered with other wounds, but these were at least several days old.
I got it! The Monokuma file clearly states that there was only one stab wound.
Oh yeah, it sure did. I totally forgot about that.
Then the knife...
Was just another piece of camouflage set up by the true killer. They probably stabbed her to draw attention away from what actually killed her. Exploding the body afterward was probably meant to do the same thing. The explosion severely damaged the body, making it impossible to know what really killed her. It was all the killer's attempt to destroy all evidence of their crime.
So they wanted us to notice the stab wound and then detonated the body afterward. They meant for us to latch onto the knife as the cause of death, then destroy any evidence proving otherwise.
Oh, hey, I have a question. It kinda goes back to the beginning, but... what's the deal with that explosion anyway? Why'd the body just blow up all of a sudden like that?
If you bothered to put that lump of gray matter between your ears to use, you'd know the answer.
Well, if you're so smart, just tell me.
I'll tell you. I bet some unknown quantum particle caused an atomic-level spontaneous combustion!
I might be dumb, but even I'm not dumb enough to believe that.
Go ahead, Makoto. Tell her or we won't make any headway on this.
There's only one explanation I can think of for the explosion.
I got it! After the explosion, we found a tiny fragment of something on the ground near the body, right? That fragment reveals the cause of the explosion.
Huh? You know, I feel like I've seen something like it somewhere before.
That's only natural, because of course, we saw the same thing when we dismantled Monokuma. It's part of a bomb.
Oh! Then the explosion was because of the Monokuma bomb.
Anyway, the culprit's motive is becoming more and more obvious by the minute. They wanted the knife wound to look like the fatal injury so that we'd suspect Makoto. And the only one who would benefit from that is the only other possible suspect. You, Kyoko.
I mean, she keeps pointing at us.
Hold on a second, Byakuya.
What's the problem?
Well, I just feel like we need to think this through. We still don't know what actually killed the victim.
That's true. It's definitely bugging me. What really killed her?
Fine. I have no problem with that. Let us continue the debate. It won't change the facts of the case regardless.
We need to determine what ultimately killed the victim. I need to concentrate.
Then, shall we continue the debate? The victim's fatal injury has yet to be determined, correct?
The explosion didn't kill her for sure. I guess.
Well, yeah. She was already totally dead when that happened.
And it wasn't because of the knife, right? And then there's only one other thing.
Oh yeah. According to the Monokuma file, that's gotta be it. There was evidence that showed she was hit on the back of her head.
Shoot!
Dang.
Injury has yet to be determined,
Okay,
correct?
I think what I
The
need to do
explosion
is...
didn't kill her for sure.
Well, yeah.
And it wasn't then.
Oh yeah.
Hold on, I don't remember how to do it. Weak spots. When a character is talking, some text may appear in yellow. This is the weak spot, and it represents a potential lie or contradiction in their argument. Multiple weak spots. Okay. If you target a weak spot and then hold down the left mouse button, you can use that weak spot as a temporary truth bullet later in the argument. Okay.
That's gotta be it. There was evidence that showed she was hit on the back of her head.
And more than that, the victim had suffered countless wounds across her entire body.
Okay, the knife was a cover-up and all those other wounds on her body weren't fresh. Which only leaves...
Then, shall we continue the debate? The victim's fatal injury has yet to be...
No,
Yeah,
that's wrong.
there we go.
Mukuro died because of the blow to the back of the head she suffered.
What about the wounds all over the rest of her body? They didn't have anything to do with it?
The Monokuma file makes it clear that those weren't fresh wounds.
Oh yeah, good point. If they were old, I guess they don't really matter.
Okay, then we're safe in assuming the blow to the back of her head is what killed her.
But then, what was the murder weapon?
The Monokuma file says she was hit with a blunt object, about as thick as a metal pipe.
Oh, I bet it was the pickaxe!
How is that even possible? If you hit someone with that, it'd cave their skull in completely.
Well, maybe they held it the other way and hit her with the handle.
No way! The balance would be all off. You wouldn't be able to swing it with any kind of power. I wouldn't mind testing it on you if you want.
No thanks. I bet you just hit me with the metal end and call it an accident.
I'd love to scoop out that nasty brain of yours, throw it on the ground and spit on it.
Oh my god, girl.
I feel the same way. Looks like we're on the same page this time.
Wow.
Seriously?
Okay.
We want to figure out what killed her, right? It just so happens we already know.
We already know? I knew we could count on you, Master.
So what was it?
Go ahead and tell them, Makoto. Surely you've deduced the real murder weapon?
The real murder weapon. Body before the explosion. Oh, right. Titanium arrows. A set of titanium arrows was found in a dojo locker. There appeared to be 10 in total.
I got it! Mukuro was hit in the back of the head with something. And that's what killed her. And that something was the titanium arrow we found in the locker in the dojo.
An arrow? That's what the culprit attacked Mukuro with?
Indeed. There's no doubt about it.
Are you sure? That sounds kind of weird.
Hey! How dare you backtalk, Master? You have no right!
I'm not back-talking anything. I'm just saying what I think.
I don't blame Hina for doubting it, because there's one more thing about that weapon. One more secret. Bloody duct tape?
The titanium arrow. It was in the Dojo Locker, right? I have no doubt that was the murder weapon.
Are you sure?
You don't sound convinced. What's the problem?
Well, because in the Monokuma file, it said the weapon must have been about as thick as a metal pipe, right? It seems like an arrow would just be too thin.
Talking back to Master. You have no right!
If it was just that titanium arrow, it wouldn't be nearly thick enough. Which is why they used...
The titanium arrow. It was in the Dojo Locker, right? I have no doubt that was the murder weapon.
Are you sure?
You don't sound convinced.
Because it said the weapon must have been about as thick as a metal pipe. It seems like an arrow would just be...
There we go.
No, that's wrong. You're right. Just the one arrow would have been too weak. That's why the killer used another weapon.
Another weapon?
Inside the dojo locker, we also found a balled-up wad of duct tape. The killer probably uses duct tape to bind multiple arrows together. Bundling them together using the duct tape would easily create a single weapon as thick as a pipe. And that's exactly what the killer did.
It's similar to Aesop's fable about the bundle of sticks. One stick is weak, but put them together and they become strong. It's meant to teach cooperation.
Damn, that's harsh.
How is it harsh? Are you even listening?
Anyway, that explains the murder weapon. As for who the culprit is that stashed the weapon in the Dojo Locker, it was you, Kyoko.
I've never been to the dojo.
Oh no, you absolutely have.
How can you say that with such confidence?
Because we have proof, of course. Don't we, Makoto? What's the matter? Surely you don't intend to protect a murderer. You know what will happen if you do, don't you? If you cover for the culprit, there's only one thing that can lead to. The death of us all, remember?
Of course I remember.
Then show us. Show everyone the evidence that proves Kyoko went to the dojo.
I have evidence. Evidence that Kyoko went to the dojo. Must be connected to that Dojo Locker.
I got it! The one thing that proves Kyoko was in the dojo is right here. The key to the Dojo Locker.
And how does that prove anything?
Because I found it in your room.
It was in my room?
Don't bother trying to play dumb.
But she could not have gotten into her room because he had the key. Byakuya had the key to her room.
That key is just the final piece of the puzzle.
That's very suspicious. I feel like there's not...
Your non-existent alibi, your clear motive, your attempts to frame Makoto for the crime. This all proves that you are the true culprit. You can't explain this away, so just give up.
Hold on a second.
Not this again. You really are dead set on defending her, aren't you?
No, it's not that I want to defend her. It's just, there's one more thing I need to ask her. Kyoko, I want you to tell me something. Last night, you were in my room, weren't you? Why? What were you doing there? That's what I need to know.
I was just protecting you.
What?
She was protecting me? And does that mean she knew I was being attacked? And she came to my rescue. Could that be when... Which would mean that Kyoko, she killed someone for me? I don't know. I feel like there's more to it than that. Like, I believe that she, protected him. But, that she would not have been able to get into her room. Unless she stole the key from Byakuya and then gave it back to him. Like, I don't know how she would have done that either. So, that's very strange. Very strange that, like, the key was in her room, but she couldn't get into her room. It's very strange. But, I'm over time, so I'm gonna go ahead and end the episode here. Sorry to end it on a cliffhanger, but it's always, if I have to stop in the middle of class trial, it's always going to be during a cliffhanger. So, we'll figure out what happens next time. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please go and check out some other Let's Plays that I've done down in the description below. I've done a lot of other games that you can go and check out, and I plan on doing a lot more in the future. So please subscribe if you have not already, and you'd like to see more of this kind of content. I'm also on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook if you want to go check out my social media. I have been streaming on Twitch as much as possible. Hopefully by the time you see this, I'm back into like some kind of regular schedule, because I did have to take a short break for a little bit there due to me going back to work. But I should be doing a lot better by the time you see this and have some kind of regular schedule. So if you want to go hang out with me while I am playing these kind of games, and sometimes while I'm playing music, because I do that on my Twitch channel as well sometimes. Hopefully I will be getting into some kind of habit of doing that, like once a month or something. But yeah, if you want to go hang out with me while I'm doing either of those things, then you should definitely go follow me on Twitch. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time with another video. Bye bye.